Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command. But here, today, I'm Mr. Politics, and I was going to talk about the Supreme Court and how we can fix it, and I'll do that very soon. But I was thinking further about the insurrection the other day, and I realized there's something on the news that was not being talked about, and I wanted to discuss it because I think it's super, super, super important. And so let's get into this a little bit. It's the subject of truth and lies. And, all these people who were protesting at the Capitol and breaking into the Capitol and doing all these things where 5 people ended up dying, including a cop, put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say for a moment that you were a Biden supporter or a liberal, and you were told by Biden and by all of the liberal press and by the liberal politicians that the election had been stolen, that there was no doubt about it, that there were all these facts proving that the election had been stolen, and the courts were part of the basically the conspiracy, and the Republicans were part of the conspiracy, and there was no way to get a fair election, that essentially the election had been fixed. Well, you might, as a someone who wants democracy, you might decide that you have to take action. You have to hit the streets. You have to demand attention to this because it's so urgent and so pressing. And we are a revolutionary country. We were founded on a revolution. You have the Boston Tea Party. You have all these actions of people who said, I want representation. I want my politicians to hear me and my needs. So that might be something that would have happened on our side if we had been lied to. So I think, some of the protesters, some of the insurrectionists on the other day were right-wing nutcases, were neo-Nazis, were racists. I think that's a strong fringe group that Trump has always fostered. But I think a lot of people were just people they're watching Fox News, they're looking at the internet. There's a great equalizer on the internet where you just get something and often you don't check where it's from or who posted it. It's like, oh, well, here's this person saying this thing, and who the hell are they? With editing and all of these things, you can make it look very professional. So there's truth and lies, and who should be held most responsible? The people who believe the lie and act on it, or the people who knowingly tell the lie? I think the people who tell the lie should be held responsible. Because if you look, Rudy Giuliani and all of these people, when they went to court and they were asked under oath if the case was about a stolen election, they said no. In all of those cases, they said no. And because they couldn't lie in the court because of threat of perjury, threat of being charged with a crime. Now, why is it that politicians are free to lie? There's a difference. There's one thing when it's the facts and you have different opinions about the facts. For instance, I might have an opinion about, Martin Luther King, for instance, and so forth. I mean, I believe he was a hero, of course, but when he was opposing the Vietnam War and so forth, there were a lot of people against him, but they were acting on, the facts as being reported. And so there's a difference between an opinion about facts and people who are knowingly lying. And of course, the generals in Vietnam knowingly lied. But now we have politicians who are knowingly lying to the people. And I think the law should be changed. I think that just as in a court of law, you're under an oath, and if you lie, you can be convicted, I think politicians should be held to that same standard. They should not be allowed to lie in their ads, in their speeches. They can have an opinion. They can disagree with this or that. They can think taxes are good or taxes are bad or whatever. But they shouldn't be able to lie and get people stirred up to violence and people dying as a result of their lies. So I think Trump is certainly culpable. His enablers, as they call them, are culpable. But also the people in the House and the people in the Senate who, even after the insurrection, still stood by the lie, should be held accountable. They are violating their oath of office, and it shouldn't be something taken lightly. We need to fight for our democracy. We need to fight for the truth. I think that there should be laws that the news is not able to lie. You know, Trump has said the press is the enemy of the people. That statement alone should have gotten him thrown out. That's the same thing that Hitler says, or Putin, or any of these dictators. They want to control what the truth, quote unquote, is, and that's the big lie, as Hitler talked about, as Goebbels talked about. So, I think what we need to do moving forward is have a kind heart toward the people who've been lied to. But I think we have to change moving forward the ability of those who lie to have no consequences. And I think that we need to change the laws so that any news channel, and Tucker Carlson and all these guys, there's a difference between opinion and lying. And if they're lying, they should be held accountable. And all of these websites and feeds and all of this stuff should not be allowed on Twitter, should not be allowed on Facebook. If they have opinions, that's fine. But if they're lying, and you have to be able to prove that what you're saying has a basis in fact. For instance, I believe there was a moon landing. Well, I can cite any number of things that lead me to that conclusion, including the fact that my dad worked in aerospace during that period. There's concrete evidence. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who were involved in that program. And so anyway, this is just what I'm saying here. But I think that many of the people who were out on the streets the other day were not racist necessarily, were not the neo-Nazis or the fringe right. The violent people, the people who brought pipe bombs and guns, yes, those people are traitors, quite frankly. But people who've been lied to and are trying to keep their democracy, they need to be heard and seen as Americans who have been misled. And that's a very different thing. This is just my thoughts on all of this. It's very important that we fight for our democracy, and the way we fight for it is by upholding the truth and punishing those who don't, because they are simply out for power and they are not out to serve us, and that is the ultimate goal of democracy. So in the future, I'll talk about the Electoral College, I'll talk about the Supreme Court. There's a lot of things to talk about. I think 2021 is going to be a good year, but I think that this event of the other day points to a severe problem, and it needs to be addressed and dealt with, and laws need to be passed to uphold the body politic and our safety as Americans. So that's about it. And to my friends on the right, if anyone watches this who's not on my side of the political equation, what I would ask you to do is have skepticism toward the people who are lying to you, and just see if you can dig a little and not accept at face value what they're saying, because I don't accept at face value many things that I'm told, and I look into it. I actually dig deeper, and we all have busy lives, we all have things to do, but it's very important that if a smaller and smaller number of leaders are saying something is so, and more people, even on their side of the political equation, are saying it's not, you want to start using your sense of smell, because you'll start smelling a rat. So anyway, that's it for now. But just know that I love America, and I love the people in America. I love people all around the world, of course. But this is my land, this is my country, and I'm very glad that we're all here. And I would not want everyone to be like me or think like me. But I think that, Abraham Lincoln perhaps said it best. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and you can fool all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. So that's it for now, and we'll talk real soon. Bye, guys.